Hi everyone, I am Dipali Kulshrestha, working at Cloud Analogy as Senior Salesforce Consultant. I am very much active on various social media channels where you can follow me or can contact me directly. So here is my LinkedIn ID, my Gmail, my Twitter account, phone number and my website. So first of all, I would like to thank you everyone for attending today's webinar on automation testing in Salesforce. So we have Rahul with us as a speaker for today, who is also a part of Cloud Analogy family.
Thank you for introducing me. Let's just move forward with the webinar. First, we'll talk about our agenda for today's webinar. We are going to have a quick overview on automation testing with Selenium. Then we'll move forward to understand why do we need Selenium in Salesforce, configuring Selenium for UI testing. Then we'll talk about the essentials in Selenium UI testing. In this part, we'll cover locating UI elements in Salesforce using XPath, then handling UI elements and performing user actions. Then we'll talk about how to handle frames in a web page, along with handling alerts and pop-up in a web page. Then we'll start talking about some of the use cases in Salesforce, and we'll see how we can go about automating them in Salesforce using Selenium. So let's just start with our first topic for today. What is automation testing with Selenium? So automation testing, first of all, is a software testing technique to test and compare the actual outcome with the expected outcome. This can be achieved by writing test scripts or using any automation testing tool. Test automation is used to automate repetitive tasks and other testing tasks which are difficult to perform manually. So test automation is use of the software to control the execution of test, comparison of actual outcomes with expected ones, and setting up the test preconditions. And we also need to know that there are some tools available in the market which provide us with the option of automating test scripts. Some of them being Selenium, QTP, UFT, Silk Test, RFT, etc. So while automating test scripts, we have to use some programming languages. There are several available in the market. So our preferred programming language would be C, C++, Java, Perl, VB Script, and JavaScript. So in our case, we are going to use Java. So in the next slide, let's talk about why we need Selenium in Salesforce. Well, there are so many repetitive actions in Salesforce that we have to perform on daily basis. So some of them are like creating objects, records, and fields, or updating them in order to test the outcome. So when we perform a regression testing or a retesting, let's say, these same scenarios again and again are going to means we are going to face similar challenges in testing them again and again. So we make sure that to make sure that the functionalities are intact even after the modifications and improvements being done on a particular module, we need to perform regression testing. So when we are dealing with repetitive scenarios, it's better to automate them, so it saves our time and effort. So through Selenium, we can verify whether there are any broken links present on the web pages or not, whether the alignment or the UI alignment is correct or not, or simply just to verify that the element in the UI is present or not. So Selenium provides us with various actions that we can perform on the UI in order to test our functionality. Now, how can we configure Selenium for UI testing in Salesforce? There are a couple of steps. We are going to talk about each one of them one by one. So first of all, just go to Google and type Selenium HQ and just follow the first link. So this is the official Selenium website. So in this, you have to go to download, and as you can see right here in the start, there is Selenium standalone server. So this is the latest Selenium standalone server that you need to download. Since I have already downloaded it, so you need to just click on this and it will just address you towards the downloading part. And after this you have to download some language bindings. Like in our project we are going to use Java, so we have to use the Java language binding from this link, from this download part. So once you download it, then our next download will be the browsers. We are going to run our scripts in a certain browser, right? So for example, we can use Google Chrome or Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox or Safari for that matter. So we need to download the drivers for our respective browsers that we are going to use in our project. So to start with, we are going to download Google Chrome driver because we are going to automate our scripts and use them in Chrome. So you have to just click on this link, and it will redirect you to towards these two links, Chrome driver first and this. So whichever stable releases are there, you can just go ahead and download it. In the next part of our configuration, we will download an IDE. In our case, we'll use Eclipse. So once you download Eclipse, then you have to do a few things, like you have to go to File and create a project, a Java project, and you can just you have to name it, and then click on Next, and then Finish. Then as you can see, your Java project will reflect here. After that, you have to just right click on your project, go to Build Path, and hence you have to go to Configure Build Path. And in the above tabs, as you can see, there are 4 tabs: Source, Projects, Libraries, Order, and Export. So you have to click on Libraries, and you'll get an option to add external jars. So once you click that, you'll be able to see all the available jars that you have downloaded from seleniumhq.org. So you will just select all the jars, and as you can see, I have all the jars with me, and we are just good to go. After that, you just apply and close, and you are ready to write your automation scripts in Selenium. So this is it. The configuration part is over. So if you do this much, your configuration will be done with Selenium, and you are good to go. So now we'll see what is Selenium UI testing. A good graphical user interface automated test simulates the actions of a manual tester. In such a test, the automated test interacts with the buttons, text fields, and other elements in the same way as a manual user would do to follow the real scenario. Actions that we are able to simulate through Selenium are double click, drag and drop, mouse hover over the element, scrolling up and down. So in order to perform certain actions, we need to determine the element location or where it is located in the UI. So we use XPath or CSS selector to locate the UI elements. So moving forward, now we are going to understand how to find or locate UI elements in Salesforce using XPath. So first we need to understand what is XPath. XPath is defined as XML path. It is a syntax or language for finding any element on the web page using XML path expressions. XPath is used to find the location of any element on a web page using HTML DOM structure. So we need to understand first that all the UI elements that we are dealing with in a web page, every element has a certain location in the UI. So if it is a button or an clickable link, every element is present in the DOM structure, and we are going to use the same for finding their location in the UI. So we have to follow certain syntax to find the XPath in a given web page. So syntax that is to be used in finding XPath is the double slash, we have to write tag name followed by square brackets, and inside square brackets we are going to use at the rate the attribute name, for example class or title or ID or anything that is available for that particular element, and then equals its value in single inverted quotes. And we also need to know that there are two types of XPath that Selenium provides us. One is absolute and second is relative. So absolute is nothing but finding the absolute location of the element. For that we are just going to use slash or a single slash, and we just will navigate through the entire hierarchy of the elements present in the DOM. So we usually avoid this kind of absolute structure of finding XPath, because it may be a long version of the XPath and our code might be just long enough to not understand. So we usually don't use absolute XPath. We use the relative version of it. So we'll talk about, in this webinar we'll talk about how to find relative XPath of a given element in UI. Let's just go to the Salesforce login page. Okay, so in the login page, as you can see, in the username part, as you can see here, username part is a text box, username and password part is a text box. So if we want to enter our username through script, we need to first identify the location of this text box. So to find that, we'll just right click on the text box, inspect element, and as I can see, this the DOM structure for this particular text box is right here. For this text box, this input is a tag name, and it is using many attributes like class, type, value name, ID, area described by style. All these are attribute names, and their respective values are the values that we are going to provide for the attribute value. So let's say we have to find the locate the text box in this UI web page. So we are just going to press Ctrl F, and as you can see, find by string, selector or XPath. So in this we are going to use double slash, and then when we are going to use the tag name, which is input. First just let us copy this entire attribute value and name. Now we are going to use it in, followed by double slash, we are going to use input, square bracket, at the rate. So as you can see, as you write the XPath in this column, it will indicate the element whose XPath you have just input. So it, as you can see, it shows the result 1 of 1, means this is a unique element that is found with this that we have found with this particular XPath. So we are going to use this in our code. This entire XPath we are going to use in our code. So likewise, if you want to know the XPath of the this text box element, we're just going to inspect it, and in this, as you can see, the attribute name is class, the tag name is input. So we just copy this, and if we paste it here, we'll be able to see the unique element pertaining to this XPath in this UI. So this is the XPath of the password text box. So likewise, we'll be able to find multiple locations of multiple elements in the UI, and that's how we can handle them in our code. Moving forward, now in this section we'll understand how we can handle UI elements and performing certain user actions. So in the Selenium WebDriver, handling keyboard events and mouse events, including actions such as drag and drop or clicking multiple elements with control keys, are done using the advanced user interaction API that Selenium provides us. It contains action class and actions and action classes which are needed when performing these events. So here are listed some of the methods that we use that are used in the action class. First is click and hold, second context click, then double click, drag and drop. Drag and drop requires two XPaths, one of the source and second of the target, where we are going to drag that particular element to. And the final is send keys. Send keys we are going to apply on the element for which we are going to type the input. For example, if we are talking about a text element, then we have to do the send keys on that particular text box. In our next section, we'll be talking about handling frames in a web page. First, we need to understand what are frames in a web page. So, by the way, frames are indicated by the tag name iframe. So iframe is a web page which is embedded in another web page or an HTML document embedded inside another HTML document. So the iframe is often used to insert content from another source such as an advertisement into a web page. The tag name iframe specifies an inline frame. Selenium can handle the iframe in the following manner. We need to first move into the iframe. Suppose we are trying to locate an element, and we found in the DOM that it is located in an iframe. So we can't just pick up that particular element through XPath. Despite that, we need to move into the iframe first by using this syntax driver.switch to frame, and then locate the element inside the frame using XPath. And after locating and performing action on the element, we need to switch back to the main frame again. So that's how we can handle frames in a web page. So let us just see how an iframe in a web page looks like, and how does it appear, and how can we find them. So we open our org, and as you can see in the home page, we need to inspect element and look for iframe. So as we can see, there are a couple of iframes present in the DOM structure. Yeah, here if you click on this, as you can see, this is the iframe. This iframe is present near the Salesforce logo. That means this Salesforce logo is in a frame with the tag name iframe. So if we want to perform any action on that particular logo, we need to get into the iframe, and then we have to get the element, and then we need to perform the action. So this is the procedure to handle an iframe. So in our next section, we are going to talk about handling alerts and pop-up in a web page. So we use alert interface to handle alerts and pop-ups in a web page. Alert interface provides these methods below, which are widely used in Selenium WebDriver, which are void dismiss to click on the cancel button on the alert, void accept to click on the OK button on the alert, string get text to capture the alert message. So basically, in while automating a UI web page, we can always come across a scenario where we are encountering an alert message. For example, it can be for pop-up blocks or anything for that UI. It depends on the development which has been done on that particular UI, or the alerts that has been set in the UI. So in order to handle them, Selenium provides us with some interfaces. One of them is alert interface, which will allow us to handle the alerts which pops up during a UI automation. So this is how you deal with alerts and pop-ups in Selenium. So we'll move on to our next section, which is we'll see how we can automate a script in Selenium in Salesforce using some use cases. So our first use case is that we have to create a custom object with the name, address, and which will have the following fields: house number and street, which will be a long text box field; city, which will be a text field; and state, which will be a pick list field. So let's just move on to our org and just go through the steps that we need to perform in order to create this object. So as you can see in our org, we have to go to this quick find text box, and write object. Go to this link and new custom object we have to create in this button. So as we click on this, we get a label which is a mandatory field, so we have to provide some input here, and in the plural also we have to provide this input. The object name field has been auto populated by itself. So now everything is good. Let's go to save. We have to click this button. So once we click it, new object will be created. So as you can see, new object has been created. Now we have to click on this new button pertaining to custom fields and relationship. Now we'll get to choose from the list of data types of the fields that we are creating for this particular object. For example, if we are choosing a field called text box, so we'll take text box and click next. Field label text box, we can put any field label. I'll name it ABC1. As you can see, there are no other mandatory fields, and we click on next. And then we again click on next, and finally we either save or we click on save and new. If we want to create more fields, we'll click on save and new. For now I'll just click on save, and as you can see, a custom field has been created for the object ABC. So likewise we have to perform similar action but for the object address. So let's just see how we can do it. So we are here in our Eclipse IDE. Now this is my project webinar, and this is my package here, test case. When we right click on the package, we'll get to create a class. So we create a class with the name use case 1, and we'll use public static void main for this. This is a Java program, so we have to code in Java. So as you can see, a new class file has been created. So inside this public static void main, we have to start our scripting. So first of all, while writing Selenium code, we need to give the location of our script where we want to fetch the Chrome driver. So as we will give our location of the Chrome driver, then we will proceed to the further steps. So inside the void main, we'll write system dot set property. So we'll go with set property right here, and there are two strings basically. In one we are going to write webdriver.chrome.drive, and in the next argument, string argument, we are going to give the address of my Chrome driver. As I have copied my Chrome driver address of my computer, I'll just paste it here. This is the address of my Chrome driver location. So I'll just set it as it is. Now you can see this error. This is because it should be inside double quotes. So this is the first line of our code. This particular line will fetch the Chrome driver from the given location. Now we'll declare the instance of our WebDriver. Interface WebDriver will choose. Now after creating the instance of driver, we'll give the step to navigate to a certain location of the through the driver. So for example, we have to go to login.salesforce.com to login for starting. So we'll do driver.get, and in the argument we'll write is the exact web address preceded by HTTPS. So after this step, we'll be able to reach to the login.salesforce.com website. So in that, we'll be able to see a username and a login text box field where we have to provide our inputs. So I just showed you how to get the XPaths of on the text fields or any web element for that matter. So we'll straight away just put the XPaths what I have here. As you can see, these are the XPaths. So now as you can see, here are the list of XPaths that we will need in order to create object and to create custom fields. So I have already with them, I have already with me these set of XPaths that we are going to use in our code to verify the given use case. So in the next line, we are going to write driver.findElement by.xpath, and in the given code we are going to put our login ID and password. So in the first step, I just have provided input on the username text box field. Moving ahead with the password text box field, so this is our password text box field. This input will go to the passwords text box field. Now the next line is to click on the submit button. So in this line, through this line we'll be clicking on the submit button. So we'll just introduce some wait so that the page can wait for the driver can wait for the page to appear. So by giving this expression, the driver will wait for 10 seconds to load the page, so that it doesn't get timeout and our code will break. So to avoid these kind of stuff, we need to introduce some wait in our scripts. So moving ahead, the next step, we are going to find the quick find box, because we'll be in our home screen. So we need to locate the new quick find box locator in the UI. So for that, we have this XPath of quick find box text box right here. I'll just select it. So as soon as we write objects, a link will appear for object link. So here is the XPath for that link. I'll just copy it and paste it here. Since we want to perform the click function, so we'll be using the click function. Yeah. Okay. So once we click it, we'll be reaching the page where we will get to create a new custom object. So as I showed you, there will be a new custom link to create new custom object. So here is the XPath to that. We are going to use it here. So as the new link appears, we have to choose the label text box where we need to input our object name. In the label, we are going to input values, so we are going to use send keys, and the char sequence would be address. Now our next XPath will be the text box field for plural label. So this is our XPath. So our plural label is done. Now we need to click on the save button. So this is our save button XPath. So we'll just dot click method. So hopefully just executing this step will create a custom object for us. So let's just see if this much code works. So here all we have to do is right click on the class file and Go to this link run as and select Java application. So it will run the script for us. So we'll just wait and watch what happens. So as you can see, we have logged in successfully and we are about to reach the home page. It's taking them some time loading up because we have introduced wait. So we have to just wait for 10 seconds before the page loads. And now the home page is open and it should find the object element in the quick find box. Okay, so we were able to click on the object element. And as you can see, the entire process has been successfully completed. And the custom object should be ready now. Yes, custom object address has been made successfully. Now after this step we need to create fields and relationships. So user actions, after this step we will just continue in our code in order to get that. So for now we'll delete it because every time an automated script runs, it will try to execute the complete script from beginning. So in order to proceed safely, we need to delete this. Right. So moving ahead, we have created some user actions that will create our custom fields. As you know, that the first text field long we have to create for house number and street. So these are the respective steps. Following that, we have to create a text field city. For them, the steps is right here. And for creating the field state picklist, that will be a picklist field. Here are the complete steps. So we'll just run our code to see if it works. So as you can see, we have reached the home page again, and now you should be able to find objects in the quick find box and move ahead with creating custom objects and the respective fields. We choose automation because it's a fast process, and because the field creation and object creations are repetitive things in Salesforce, so we can easily automate them to reduce time and effort. So as you can see, it's easily going through. The code is executing well. And finally we have our custom object, and along with it we have our custom fields: city, house number and street. This is a text field, this is a long text area, and this is a pick list field. So we were successfully able to use our uh, use case, and we were successfully able to automate the script. So this is how you can automate your test scripts.
Hello, my question is how can we create a record for an object, for example, address, in Salesforce using Selenium?
So first of all, thank you so much for asking this question. Now your question is that we need to create a record for address. So let's see what are the user actions to do this particular step. So we go to our org, and then we'll go to all tabs. Then our script must click on this particular tab, which is address, and then the address opens up the custom object, and after the custom object opens we need to click on new, and following by the inputs on address name, house number, street, city, and we can save it. Okay, so we'll just see with the code how can we do that. So as you can see, to execute this respective steps, we need to create an automation script. So to start with, I have done the same things which we have discussed earlier. We have used system.setProperty and then given an instance for WebDriver, and after that we have till this much we have the login procedure into Salesforce. And now how to create the address record. So here, this is the all tab section, we click on it, and then the following steps we do. So let's see if the scripts work for your particular question. So we were able to successfully log into the web page, and now according to the script it should click on this plus icon, the all tabs button, it should click on the address link, and as you can see, as it clicks on the address link, this pop-up opens. So I have just manipulated my code on this basis, so that the pop-up is, we don't miss the pop-up. And now you can see an address record is created. So this is how you do that. You can automate your script, and you can perform as many automations on your given scenario. You can add as much record as you want. So that is pretty much about today's webinar, and thank you so much.